Hey VC, it's me Roger back with another video. Get some music happening here. In the background we're listening to this. The name of the band is Savant and the name of the record is Artificial Dance. It's a compilation, 2 LP compilation on Irving International. Collaborative project by this guy Kerry Lemire. There's another comp on Irving International by this guy I want to check out. Turn it up a little bit. Hopefully I won't get busted for playing this. It's pretty obscure. Early 80s. Electronic music. I guess his other stuff is more ambient. This is more in the kind of Brian Eno, David Byrne kind of My Life in the Bush of Ghosts kind of thing. With processed vocals and it's cool stuff. I love the way Irving International does things. 2 LPs with loads in the top with these folded corners like this on the sides and printed inner sleeves and a nice booklet and yeah, cool stuff. How y'all doing? Cheers. It's been a little while. Been meaning to make this video for a long time, but here I am. I wanted to come on and thank Ben Wachter for some incredible VCLT. You really do have to do this, Ben, but I really appreciate it. He sent me this, Don Cherry, Modern Art, Stockholm, 1977, on Melatonin, Swedish label. This is awesome. This is great. I didn't know about this. I thought maybe it was a reissue, but no, it's a new record. It came out last year, 2014 actually. This project has been supported by the Swedish National Council for Cultural Affairs. Too bad the US doesn't have one of those. We need some socialism. Alright. So yeah, this is a live concert recorded in Stockholm, obviously, with basically pickup musicians. And they do kind of world acoustic versions of tunes from what is that record called? Here and Now? That kind of commercial record he made for Atlantic? Excuse me. This is so nice, so great. CD apparently has more material, but the LP has a track that's not on the CD. I kind of want the CD too. Don Cherry, Modern Art. Thank you so much, Ben. This is totally awesome. He also sent me a CD, The Drovers, Kill Mice Elf. You can see it's still in the shrink wrap. I haven't listened to it, Ben. I'm really sorry. I'm kind of lame. What can I say? I will check it out. He says it's a Chicago area band from the 90s. I'm sure it'll be interesting. Ben's a really cool guy. I guess his business is Arizona Nature Aquatics, and they're like museum quality aquarium terrarium things. I mean, he's shown some pictures on Facebook and they're just mind-blowingly incredible. I mean, really, like, good job, man. Speaking of beer, he also sent me a bottle of beer. Toxic Solution Stout Ale. This stout ale is the combined efforts of municipal waste and 3 Floyds to create a black liquid wall of death in your mouth. Enjoy. It's quite tasty. I'm not drinking it right now. I drank it a while ago. But I saved this cool bottle. He thought I'd appreciate the heavy metal artwork, which I do very much. Very cool stuff. Thank you, Ben. Really kind of you. So, records. I'm actually on kind of a vinyl diet right now, but I've got a stack to show you from the last, several weeks, so let's just get to it. Some, as usual, I'll show some new stuff first, and then I'll show the antiques, so enjoy. Alright, first up is the new Tortoise record, The Catastrophist. And God, that cover is disturbing, it's Photoshop composite of all their faces, and yeah, whatever. Their first record in many, many years, 4, 5 years, 6 years, a long time. And it's great. I mean, what a great band. What is there to say? What's interesting is that there's vocals on this. Georgia Hubley sings on a track, which is lovely. And then they do really pretty convincing cover of Rock On. Yeah, this is excellent. Tortoise. Love that band. The new Steven Wilson EP. Well, for most people this would be an LP. For Steven Wilson it's just an EP. He calls it 4.5. Get it, there's 4 lines, which are die cut here, and then a half line. And I also got the Blu-ray, which has a couple extra tracks. Well, a bunch of extra tracks, really. But I forgot to bring it down. But yeah. Yeah, leftover tracks from the last few records, basically. A remake of Don't Hate Me with that chick singer, I can't remember her name, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, Steven Wilson. Alright. A new one from Expo 70, which I picked up on a lark because I saw it in the bins. Kinetic Tones on Oaken Palace. I really like the two early records I have. This didn't do a whole lot for me. They've gone into like a real minimalist drone direction that, I don't know, didn't do a lot for me. I don't know. I'll listen to it again. It's a cool cover. Yeah, the Mo-Fi Miles Davis reissues continue with Jack Johnson. Interesting the way they laid out the cover for this. I love this record, and I was hoping to have my mind blown like I did with their version of Bitches Brew, and I'm frankly kind of disappointed. The first side is pressed a little off center, which wouldn't be a big deal, except, you know, you pay through the nose for these mobile fidelity pressings. I kind of expect better than that. And there's some long sustained things, you know, Herbie Hancock's doing those long sustained organ chords, and it's going, it's annoying. And I would return it. I should have bought it from Music Direct, who owns Mobile Fidelity. And I'd have no problem, no qualms returning it. But Grimies, you know, I don't think they can return stuff. So they'd have to eat it, and I'm just not going to do that to them. Second side sounds fantastic. You know, not revelatory. It's a small band, so it's not like it's clarifying or murky mix like on Bitches Brew. This is pretty straight up rocking stuff. Great record. A little disappointed in that pressing. Might get another copy and unload that on some unsuspecting sucker. That's what you get with vinyl, you know? The dirty, messy, imperfect process. Here's another reissue, United States of America. Originally on Columbia, this is the Sundays reissue, which uses the European cover. The original US version from 1968, is that from 67, 68? 68. I had just a very plain cover with text on it. I was reading about this record in the latest Record Collector, and I'd heard some of it before, and I was like, you know what, I should just get the Sundays reissue because I'll never find a good, clean original. And they did a nice job on this. I think Sundays often does a really nice job. They're a little cagey about their sources, but I really do think that they do the best that they can with what they're provided by the labels. And, you know, I thought this sounded great, and what a weird, wonderfully weird record. I mean, if you don't know this record, check it out. Kind of psychedelic rock, kind of electronic, really primitive electronics, kind of folky in places. Dorothy Moskowitz, beautiful voice, and both she and Joseph Bird, the main people, in fact all of them were classically trained, and he kind of was like real into the hippie politics of the day, and like got all his classical buddies to form this rock band, and this is the only record they ever made, but boy, what a record. Yeah. Here's another reissue of a record I'll never find an original of. Cluster 71. Originally on Philips from 1971. This is the Bureau B reissue. You know, I have several things on Bureau B. They're pressed in Germany. They sound okay. I can't say that it really satisfies my longing for a all analog version of this, you know, because this is all analog synth weirdness. Totally great. You know, they kind of went in a more dreamy, new agey direction, but this is just out and out weird electronics. I love it. Finally, the last reissue of the batch is Talk Talk Laughing Stock. This is an official reissue on Polydor Universal. Originally came out in 1991. I think there are original vinyl copies out there. Really rare. Really quiet and subtle record that the Bada Bing pressing and my boot pressing really didn't do it justice. And I gotta say, this sounds pretty good. It sounds to me like they mastered it especially for vinyl, but as usual with Universal, who knows, because they don't tell you. You know, if you love this record like I do and wanted a legitimate vinyl copy, this is good. Worth it. Alright, that's it for new records. Now for some antiques. Here's an antique. And what a find. I found this at Grimey's for a great price, and I just couldn't resist. Blue Cheer, Vincibus Ruptum, original US pressing on Philips. Really clean copy of this too. I have the Sundays mono, which in some ways I prefer the mono mix, but this is, you know, true original stereo with the embossed cover and all that stuff. It's really nice piece. You gotta know who Blue Cheer is. I mean, a lot of people say this is like the first heavy metal record. Pretty close. Still fairly blues influenced, but really heavy, loud Marshall stacks and shit. Excellent. Speaking of Blue Cheer, I found this also elsewhere. 7-inch of Summertime Blues. Original from '68. Pretty nice, cool artwork on the cover, but the original owner colored in Summertime Blues with blue ink. Now, thankfully, she did a nice job. It wasn't until I looked it up on Discogs that I realized that this is a marred sleeve, which is why I got it for a good price. But still, it's pretty damn cool. Yeah, let's show some 7-inches. I don't have a lot of them, but I've been picking them up, digging through the bins. Really only interested in picture sleeves, but here's an exception. This is a weird one. It's a cover of White Christmas, credited to REFM and produced by The Runt. Now, The Runt, of course, is Todd Rundgren. And it's on this label, Jason Records. What the hell is that? On the B-side, you have Link Cromwell doing No Gesturing. Recorded live in Eugene, Oregon, May 1978. So what this is, the A-side is Patti Smith singing a really schmaltzy version of White Christmas with Lenny Kaye playing the instruments and Todd Rundgren producing. It's cute. It's nice for Christmas. And then the second side is a live thing where Lenny Kaye is fronting Patti's band and doing kind of a lame reggae thing. I don't know, whatever. It's a cool 7-inch. Here's the Wipers, Insane, on Xeno, from 1996. That's a cool picture sleeve. And the B-side is Resist. Not sure if these were album tracks. I don't think so. The Wipers, yeah, great 90s, kind of psychedelic, kind of punk, rock, straight up rock band. I was way into the Wipers in the 90s. Greg Sage. Yeah. It's cool. Here's a Baroness 7-inch I didn't have. What is it? A Horse Called Golgotha from 2010. It's on purple vinyl. Relapse. It's pretty cool. I like 7-inches. They're neat. I took a chance on this because it was like $1. And it appeared to be jazz. You don't see much jazz on 7-inch. Anthony Pirog, trio and sextet. 33 1/3 RPM. So on the A side, you have composition for You, You, and Me. Anthony Pirog, electric and acoustic guitars, loops, and electronics. Jeff Reed, bass. Larry Ferguson, drums, percussion, and vibraphone. And then on the B side, One Tall Cliff. With Anthony Pirog on electric and acoustic guitars and loops. Joe Herrera, trumpet. Bobby Muncie, saxophone. Janelle Lepin, cello. Jeff Reed, bass. Larry Ferguson, drums, and glockenspiel. Recorded in 2008, came out in 2010 on Sonic Mass. It's cool, real interesting, like chamber jazz kind of thing. Yeah, totally worth a buck. And finally, I found some of these like record store day 7-inch EP reissues that, you know, at the time I was like, but I found them for a good price, and you know they're a little hard to resist, you know, when they're not stupid expensive. So here's Poco Haram's Hamburg. Originally came out in 1967. So you have a 4-song EP. I guess originally came out on Onward. Interesting. So this is Cherry Red, British reissue. A couple of Kinks EPs, Quiet Kinks. Originally from 1965. So 5-song EP. First song on the B-side is A Well-Respected Man, which is one of their big hits. Great song. Mono. I think this is Mono also. Quiet Kinks and Dedicated Kinks from 66. Yeah. Kinks. And finally, this is kind of a curious thing. I don't think this ever was issued in this form. Kaleidoscope. That's the cover to the album. Faintly Growing. And so what this is numbered 7-inch with, on the A side you have Black Fjord Echo Chamber mix, and on side B, If You So Wish guide vocal mix. Both tracks mono. Not sure what label this is on. Oh, Fontana. It's kind of cool. Great band. God, I'd love to have that record. Yeah, it was a little hard to resist. So it was number 599 out of 999. 7 inches, they're fun. Alright, let's get back to the LPs. Bunch of jazz here. Eric Dolphy, the Berlin concerts on Inner City, 1978. 1961 concert, I believe. So it's like after he played with Coltrane, Coltrane. Great stuff. You know, he's kind of on his own. He's just playing with local pickup musicians for the most part, I believe. Benny Bailey plays trumpet on this. But Dolphy's so great. What a great player. What a great flute player. What a great bass clarinet player. You know, that's not even talking about his alto sax playing. Yeah, great stuff. Here's another Dolphy live thing from that same tour. Copenhagen concert on Prestige. Not sure when this came out, 70s. Think, you know, this is obviously 70s reissue. 2 LPs, more live stuff from 1961. Beautiful. Beautiful. Love Eric Dolphy. And here's something you don't see around a lot. Jackie Byard. There'll be some changes made on Muse from 72. Jackie Byard, of course, played with Charles Mingus in that great group with Eric Dolphy. Especially love that stuff. And then he went back to California and didn't, you know, it was kind of forgotten. What a great player. Has his roots in early jazz, and you know he can play everything from Dixieland ragtime to, you know, totally out atonal stuff, and he does on this. It's like a jazz history lesson. Jackie Byard, there'll be some changes made. Great solo jazz piano record on Muse. Cecil Taylor, Nefertiti, The Beautiful One Has Come on Heirs to Freedom. Originally recorded, God, what's this, early 60s. This is a 70s, 1975 Arista repackaging of this. Cecil, you know, Cecil's a big hero of mine. Great band with Sonny Murray and Jimmy Lyons. Sound quality's not great. Recorded in a little club. They're giving a really crappy piano to play, but boy, does he play the hell out of it. Yeah, one of the early masterpieces of Cecil Taylor's vision. Excellent. Another Heirs to Freedom. Alder Lake, Heavy Spirits. It's another one of those records that I used to be around. I didn't have it though, and so it was great to find this cheap. It's a white label promo. Alder Lake, great alto saxophone player. I think this was recorded for Heirs to Freedom. Recorded 75. Yeah, great band. Alder Lake's alto saxophone, Olu Dara on trumpet, Donald Smith piano, Stafford James bass, and Victor Lewis drums. There's a piece with strings, and a trio with Joseph Bowie on trombone and Charles Bobo Shaw on drums. Great. It can be kind of out, you know, maybe for some people, but I love it. Excuse me. More out jazz that I love so much. Airlore on Arista Novus from 1979. I love that cover. So it's Henry Threadgill in the center there, and Fred Hawkins and Steve McCall, bass and drums. Now this is a weird record because they're doing mostly arrangements of Scott Joplin and Jelly Roll Morton pieces. So early pre-jazz music, and of course it's a trio with saxophone, bass, and drums, no piano at all, and that's piano music, so that's pretty odd to begin with. But you know, Threadgill's a genius, I swear, and this is a great record. I mean, if you can open your ears to what they're up to, this is terrific. And again, another lesson in jazz and like where it's been, where it's going. It's killer, great, super. Yeah, I found these. I need to get back to this place. Apparently there's this guy's jazz collection that's trickling out there. I don't know if they're like trying to sell them on eBay and failing to get what they want for them, and they go to the bins. I don't know, but I'm grabbing them when I see stuff like this. David Murray live at the Lower Manhattan Ocean Club Volume 1 on Indie Navigation from 1978. This is great, live recording with David Murray on tenor and soprano saxophone, Lester Bowie on trumpet, Fred Hawkins on bass, and Philip Wilson on drums. Philip Wilson, great drummer, great. This is killer. Now I need Volume 2. Yes. More Arthur Blythe records. In the Tradition from Columbia from 1979. Another great band. You know, so you have Arthur Blythe on alto sax, Stanley Cowell on piano, Fred Hopkins on bass, Steve McCall on drums. Doing mostly standards. You know, before Wynton Marsalis came along, Columbia thought Arthur Blythe was going to be, you know, the hero of jazz, and so they spent a lot of money and tried to make him star. And the sound on this is not good. I mean, really thin recording. I don't know. Could have been better. Music's awesome, but the sound's weird. This is better. Illusions on Columbia from 1980. Similar band, Fred Hawkins, Steve McCall, John Hicks on acoustic piano, James Blood Ulmer plays on some of this. Right on. Abdul Wadud cello, Bob Stewart tuba, Bobby Battle on drums. This is great. This is Arthur Blythe doing his thing. A great band. Great cover. Yeah. 24 minutes. I guess I'll sign off now. That's a good stack of records. Someone commented on one of my last videos, like, where do I get all these cheap jazz records? And, you know, it's the usual place places, you know, here's the thing, you know, 90% of the records I find, I would not let anywhere near my turntable without a cleaning. So, you know, they might appear to be not in great shape, but they clean up awesome. I might do a video on how I clean records, but it can be such a tendentious topic that I don't know if I want to deal with it. Anyway, take care, everybody. Thanks for watching, hanging out with me. I'll see y'all soon.